Hey guys, so yesterday I posted in the empath group if you would be interested in me doing a live feed about how to manifest your dream job without feeling controlled or manipulated or drained by the emotional process of that. And I got a lot of responses saying, yes, absolutely. So that is what this live feed is all about. I will keep this on here indefinitely, so you'll always have access to it. And I just want you guys to know that I am not really going to be answering questions during this live feed. I'm just going to deliver the information, but if you have questions, post them. And if I get a lot of the same questions, I'll do another feed on those questions, or I will message you personally if that needs to be done. So first and foremost, before we even get started talking about manifesting your ideal job, one thing that we need to understand very importantly for all empaths is the win-win. Any interaction that you're having with anybody, whether it's work related, relationship related, just acquaintance related, it should be a win-win. Win for you, win for whoever you're working with. And if you come into that mindset first and foremost, you'll most likely realize how many agreements you've made with people, how many situations you're in that are not really a win-win. Often we make decisions out of desperation or feeling like we just absolutely have to get out of this situation. So we'll make compromises and do things that are really not in alignment with what we want, simply because we're afraid that if we don't if we don't do something now, if we don't make that step, then we're going to miss our opportunity forever. So the first and foremost, before I even go into the tips, I want you to think about the win-win. Anything that you're interacting with, any arrangement that you come into with anyone, like I said, whether it's business or just personal and relational, it should be a win-win. It should be fulfilling to you in every way. It should be making your life more abundant. It should be making you a better person, and you should feel good about it. It should be in your alley of things that you want to do. So you're probably already thinking of things right now that are not in alignment with that, or it's not a win-win. So the absolute first tip that I have for you in being able to manifest your job, your ideal job, is first and foremost to get absolutely honest with how you feel right now. Get honest about what you're doing right now. Is it serving you? How do you actually feel about it? Is it draining your energy, or do you feel like it's giving you energy? And be as honest as possible. For me, for example, when I realized that I just couldn't do it anymore, I would go home from work crying all the time. And I just felt like something is wrong with me. Like I just don't do well in the 9 to 5 place. I pick up everything everyone's feeling, all the things people aren't saying. I felt like I was in a different space all the time, like I couldn't make it into the space that everybody else was in. And I finally had to really just decide my health is more important than all of this. And I had to get really honest with how I actually felt about it. In fact, I had to really, by writing out all the things that bothered me and all the things that were draining me and just not working, I looked at it and thought, why would I do this? Why would I do this to myself? There is absolutely no reason for me to be doing this, and it's not worth it on any level. So before you jump into the idea of like, I just have to quit my job, I just have to get away from my job, it's important first, after you've allowed yourself to really identify how you feel, is to remind yourself of the law of attraction. Now, this is something we're all studying. Those of you in the group know that I totally base everything I teach on this, but we understand this about physics and science. Like energy matches like energy. So if you are spending 80% of your time doing something you don't like, hoping eventually that it will lead you to something you do like, it's just a false belief. It doesn't make sense. It's nonsensical. And when we can really identify that not only is the situation we're in draining our energy, draining our health, perhaps just not a win-win situation in any way, then we can also realize, and on top of it, if you're in a 9 to 5 job, you're spending probably at least 80% of your time in an environment that is draining you. So you can see just the math of it, that it doesn't pay off. It doesn't really work to do that. So it's important when you start remembering that, like adding the law of attraction in, like you're saying, this is what I believe, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm manifesting. Suddenly everything becomes more of like, are you living what you say? Do you really believe it? Because if you're stuck in situations and you feel trapped, one of two things: you either don't really believe what you're saying, or you have unconscious beliefs that are actually directing you to do that, and you may not realize that you have them. Beliefs, for example, that you're unworthy of making money, and I'm going to go into that in a minute. So with the law of attraction, so first of all, I just want to let's just recap. Get really specific about how you feel, write it all down, and then look at how much time you're actually spending doing those things that you don't want to do. And then look at that in the light of law of attraction. Check yourself. Do I actually believe I create my own reality? Do I actually believe the basic physics about this world, that like energy matches like energy? Am I the vibrational resonance of my dream job? And that's my going into my third tip, is remembering that this is all about vibration. You're not a distance away from your ideal job. You're not any time away from your ideal job. You're not an application away from your ideal job. You are a vibration away from it. And the job itself, what I'm advocating in this is you finding something that's specifically for you and hopefully actually working for yourself, which we'll talk about in a minute. But think of the person that you want to be, how you want your life to actually be, like on a day-to-day basis. How do you want your schedule to be? What do you want to feel? What kind of people do you want to be working with? What do you want to contribute? Like, what do you actually have to contribute that you know that it makes you excited inside to want to give it, to want to share it with the world? Those are the things to start really thinking about and asking yourself, what does that vibration feel like? What does that version of me feel like? So you can think of your future self. Like, imagine that you're doing exactly what you want to do, that your life is exactly where you want it to be. How does that version of you feel? What's the vibrational resonance? And you can start working backwards that way, because you know where you are, because you've written it all down. You've written all the stuff that you can't tolerate anymore about where you are. So you know where you are, you know what you don't want. Now look at what you do want. How does it feel? What's the vibrational resonance of that? And start working your way backwards into that. How can I be that person now? What can I do to shift now? And you'll find almost always that it's a mindset shift. They say work harder on yourself than you do on your job, and that is absolutely crucial. If you're not becoming a better person, if you're not working on the inside, you won't attract what you want on the outside. Because I guarantee you, that person that you want to be, that job that you want to have, that life that you want to feel fulfilled in, involves you being free inside, emotionally free, empowered. All the things that we really want, we want because we think they'll make us feel better. But what if I told you you could feel better right now? And in fact, that's the most important work you could do, because the better your vibration is, the more you are a match to the ideal situation that you want. You have to be it first. So this is not a linear process, and it's not a step 1, step 2, step 3 into your job like we've been taught. It is a vibrational process. It's finding your vibrational resonance to your true heart and to your peace. And it's kind of a trip when you go into this. So my next suggestion is looking at your unconscious beliefs. Look at, what am I believing that is causing blocks to my abundance or blocks to my freedom? Like, for example, why would I stay in a job that I absolutely hate? There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a belief or a definition that you have that is keeping you there. And it's not until we bring them to the surface and look and see that they're perhaps nonsensical that we can even start to shift them. But some of these beliefs go really deep. So, for example, for me, I grew up very poor. We always had enough. We always had just what we needed, just enough. But we never really had abundance. And at one point, when I was really young, it was to the point where we would go dumpster diving. Like, we would, all the kids, there's 8 kids. My mom would drive us around to stores that had just dumped their food in, because that's how poor we were. We needed food. And we would jump in and get like the day old stuff. And, as a kid, I thought that was just awesome. Like, I thought it was cool as shit. But my older siblings, because they were older and knew, like, felt a sense of embarrassment about it, have a totally different way that that experience affected their life. And so for me, one of my beliefs that I have, which has actually served me, is I can make it no matter what, and I always will have enough, because we did always have enough. But where it limited me was I only believed I could just have enough. I didn't believe in abundance. And that is something that I have been challenging, because even in my first few years of work, I made enough just to survive. And I liked it that way. I was comfortable with that. That's how I've been my whole life. Like, of course, as long as I have enough. And I even used it in the spiritual realm. Like, well, we always just need enough. However, I realized that I had a serious block when it came to abundance. I didn't believe that you could have more than enough, or that you could really thrive. I always thought not only could you just have enough, but you kind of have to work for it and find out creative ways to get it, and you're always having to be on top of it. So when we recognize these unconscious beliefs that we have, it's easier to identify, oh, okay, so is it true that we can only have just what we need? Like barely. And I'm talking, just so you can survive, having food, having the lights on. Sometimes we didn't, like our electricity would get turned off and we'd have to boil our water for baths. Like that's how it was at one point. Um, but looking at how I was raised and how that affected my whole belief system about money has really helped me see where primarily I was blocked. So not only did I have to uncover the beliefs that I can only have just enough, I had to challenge them and say, is that actually true? And then look for evidence, which there is plenty of people my age and way younger that are doing exactly what they want to do, being exactly themselves and making a shit ton of money doing it and enjoying themselves. And so, and not only is there plenty of examples of that, but that's the case more often than not now for any personal entrepreneur. Like the time is ripe for you to be who you are and get paid well for it. And that you have unique skills that you've developed just from being you your whole life. You've studied something very specifically. You're a master at something. And it's completely okay for you to be that in the world, because that's what you came here to be. And in fact, you're robbing the world of who you are if you're playing someone else's game, if you're in someone else's world, if you're in their agenda, if you're living up to their thing rather than yours. So part of this process of uncovering your unconscious beliefs is seeing also where your superpowers lie. So for me, understanding that one thing I was raised with is I will always have enough. I realize that's kind of a superpower for me because I always have enough and I know that. But like I said, to shift that into now I'm having abundance. And right now in my life, I've had more abundance than I ever have. And the key has been uprooting my unconscious beliefs, seeing that they're nonsensical, consciously replacing beliefs that actually are more in alignment, like working on affirmations and mantras. And number one, more than anything, is controlling my focus. It's much harder to control your focus when you're in a 9 to 5 job, when you're spending 85% of your time doing something you don't want to do. It's much harder, but you can still start there. And you'll realize that once you start going through this and doing the work, suddenly it's not about the job at all. Like the job and where you're at is irrelevant. All that matters is your focus, because you attract what you are. And that's why they say work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Yet we've been trained to do this kind of from the outside, make ourselves look a certain way and try to fit into, like if I go to an interview, I need to fit myself to their mold so I can impress them enough to hire me. Or the concept has been be what other people need you to be and be good at it, or follow rules well. Just if you're a good rule follower, we'll hire you. I'm suggesting something the complete opposite, which is be as you, be as you as you can possibly be, and find out that there's more abundance there than anywhere else you could possibly look. And that's why focusing on yourself, like making your focus be, how is my vibrational resonance? What is it that I want to be? Who is it that I want to be? What is it that I want to feel? Because again, the job's irrelevant at this point. The only reason you want a different job is because you want to feel better. So all that matters is that you work on feeling better and you will attract the different job. Now I have other things that, specifically a class that I've been working on for a while called How to Get Out of the Matrix. I started a first version of it, and then halfway through I just got all these different downloads to take it a totally different direction, and I'm about to re-release it. So if any of you have taken it, you know all of you are getting the new one. But for any of you that want to go deeper into this and really work on bringing up those unconscious beliefs and then fitting it inside the context of what are some practical steps we can take to get out of the matrix so that we can be fully in alignment with who we are, this class might be a good one for you. It's not actually up yet, but it's going to be in February. So I will offer a pre-registration if you're interested. I don't have anything out yet, but I just wanted to mention it for you guys. If you want to take that class, I'm so excited about it. It's a powerful class, and I'm basing it on the 5 laws of gold from The Richest Man in Babylon, except for I'm switching it up for empaths. So it's a really cool way to look at it, and this is ancient knowledge about how money works and how abundance more specifically works. So I'm excited about that, but this is all tailored specifically for empaths, for those of you who are sensitive and really do not thrive in a 9-to-5 environment. And I'm telling you, you have gifts that are underused that the world needs. And the biggest problem for most empaths is we're unhealed. A lot of us have not dealt with our trauma or even brought up our unconscious beliefs because we've been so busy just trying to survive, and it can be exhausting for an empath. So if you feel that you're more on the place where you need a lot deeper healing, then another thing that might be good for you is the chakra cleanse class, which the mentoring group just started this week. So I actually still have a couple spots available if you want to start late. You would be a week late essentially, but you could join the mentoring group. I won't let anyone in after this week, but I think 2 spots available in that if you want that. There's also just the content of the chakra cleanse. If you just want the content and you're one of those do-it-yourself people, it's less money and you could do it that way. And I also, for those of you who are just ready, like if you're just ready to go to that next step and you really want to work on this, being the vibration of your most abundant self so that you manifest it into your reality. The best thing I think that I have available is mentoring. So I just put together mentoring packages just simply because I keep having people ask me. And I finally was like, okay, I need to do this and I want to do this and I'm excited about it. And I finally kind of felt inspired on a specific way to go about it. So I do have a mentoring package available. And that's an 8-week program where I work with you 2 hours a week and through all the chakra cleanse information or the matrix, whatever you want to do. We can base it on either class, but I'm with you through the whole process and kind of holding you accountable and giving you tips. And it's a powerful, I did a mock, I've only done 1 mock so far, but it's really incredibly powerful. And I think I like it better than working with empaths just in 1 session or 1 class. This is a really cool opportunity to work together really closely. So for those of you who have asked, it's finally available, and I don't have a registration page up for it or not, but if you're interested in mentoring specifically, you can email me privately. Email me via Facebook or my YouTube, or not YouTube, my website, which is chakracenter.org, and we can get something set up. But those are the main things that I wanted to talk about. So just to recap, first and foremost, remember the win-win. Do not enter into a business arrangement, romantic arrangement, friendship arrangement that is not a win-win. You matter in the equation, and your health matters, your heart matters, all of it, and so does the other person. So it's not fair at all for you to do something or to give your life to something or your time to something that is not your gift. It's not fair to the people you're working for, and it's not fair to you. So it's important to just look at the win-win. Do I have win-win situations in my life? And where I don't, how can I shift it? You matter in the equation. So is this good for your heart? Is this good for your mind? Is this good for your body? And if you can't say yes to all 3 of those things, it's not a good fit for you. The next thing is, like I said, get in touch with how you feel. Be very specific here and be completely brutally honest about how you feel, even if it's resentful or really frustrated, whatever it is that you feel, make sure you're honest about every reason why your job is not working for you. Sometimes we have to convince ourselves, like we have to motivate ourselves to move from where we're from, because for some reason often it feels more comfortable to stay in a situation we hate than to face the challenges of change. But like I said, where you are now, it's not your job that matters, it's your vibration more than anything and your focus. And it's important, if you want to start on this journey, to get in alignment with your heart. So, how do you feel? What do you need? What will actually make you thrive, and what's draining your energy? And when you think about this life that I'm asking you to consider, a life where you're thriving fully, be completely honest about that too. Here's what I said when I did this originally. I want a job where I can be 100% me, where I get paid well for taking care of myself. Like, taking care of myself is part of the job description. If I'm not taking care of myself, I'm no good. And I have that. And that I want to make money doing what I love, like doing what I'm good at, which is helping people. All of those things have come true. And as I've been shifting my mindset about abundance and really looking at what's underneath these blocks that I have about not being able to push past a certain level, things have started shifting for me. Here's the interesting thing too about my job. When you work more like this, work more with synchronicity and follow your heart, it's really interesting because here's what I've noticed, and it's like this every time. I've been able to gauge my work this way. When I'm doing well emotionally, physically, mentally, my work does well emotionally, physically, mentally. If I stop taking care of myself, my work doesn't do well. And so I have the added bonus, although it can be stressful to work for yourself. The cool thing is, if I don't take care of myself, I don't get paid. And so it's this extra incentive to really take care of yourself. But when I laid out my perfect job, I said I wanted a job where I didn't have to get up at any specific time, that I could sleep in as long as I wanted, because throughout most of my life I struggled with insomnia and I hated getting up at fucking 7 a.m. in the morning. Now I get up naturally at 7 a.m. It's very weird. But I wanted it to, I want to get up whenever I want. I want to make really good money. I want to feel excited about what I do, and I want to love it, and I want to feel like I enjoy the people I work with. I want to feel like it's actually in my skill set. And I just was indulgent as I could possibly be. I don't even know everything I said, but I pretty much have been able to manifest exactly what I wanted for a job, travel the world. I've had the most amazing experiences, and sometimes on a very small budget, but it's amazing what you can do when you just set your mind to it. So those are my tips for being able to manifest your ideal job without being controlled or drained. And the reason why I'm saying the controlled or drained part is because it is often really difficult to get ourselves emotionally in alignment with the job, with the idea of even moving towards a new job. It feels like exhausting even doing that. So remember, it's about a mindset shift. That is the most crucial thing, is to start here, is your mindset needs to shift. Are you in the win-win? And start making it your intention that every part of your life be a win-win, and anything that's not, that it move out of your life. Really, really, really powerful things can start to happen when you do this. So I wish you all luck with this. Like I said, if you want to go deeper, I'm having a lot more material come out about that. And in fact, I'm going to be focusing on this a lot because I feel passionate about getting empaths out of that trap, because we're needed somewhere else. We're needed in a different way. And it's important that you line up with who you are. So you have to know that you matter, that your self-care has to come first. Number one priority is you. And I know that's hard for a lot of empaths, but you won't be able to manifest the job that you want unless you put yourself first. Remember the law of attraction. It's all about resonance. You are only a vibrational resonance away from your job, from your ideal job or your ideal way of being. It's not a linear process. Look at your unconscious beliefs. Really important. The chakra cleanse is really powerful for this, because we go through each chakra and look at any unconscious beliefs, reprogram them with different affirmations. And this is where you need to take things seriously. It starts in your thoughts. And if you have beliefs that are out of alignment with your joy and your thriving, you won't be able to manifest what you want, because this whole reality thrives on belief. Beliefs are crucial. And then look at your superpowers. What have you been able to do? What have you been able to manifest? What comes easy to you? Like I said, for me, I knew I will always have just what I need, at least. But I use that as a superpower, as a jumping off place, knowing that I'll at least have that. So I can believe that and put my faith in that, and that'll be fine. And then the real work started coming for me is when I challenged the unconscious beliefs I had, which were, but I'll never make enough. I'll never make enough to be fully abundant, or I won't have more than enough. And now that's changed. It's completely changed because I changed my mindset. And focus is your most important asset that you have. Focus becomes everything. So the last thing I want to leave you with before I go is, if you haven't ever tried it, Mary Poppins magic is awesome when it comes to this. So, you know the spoonful of sugar song? I recommend you go to YouTube and watch it with the lyrics on it and see that that is actually a spell. Legitly a spell. You can use it as a spell. And the idea behind it is shifting your perspective about your work, shifting your perspective about your job. This can be really powerful. So once you've made the commitment, if you really want to move out of your job, you have to commit to yourself. And that has to be number one, 100% commit to yourself that your well-being is more important than anything else. Because if you're not well, you have nothing to give. So we should all, as businesses, as bosses, all of it, support this, because if we want the best out of our employees, if we want the best out of each other, we need to allow them space to be the best that they can be. So it's super crucial that you commit to yourself, 100% commit to yourself. Know that your well-being is a top priority here. And then from there, anything that you feel obligated in, that you feel like you have to do, like your 9 to 5 job or whatever, start allowing the power of your focus, the power of your mind, the power of being able to put any twist and any scenario onto any obligation that you have, and think of it like a game. This is a game at this point. Make your job a symbol. Like this is simply a game piece on the chessboard. It's not me entirely. It doesn't have to control me, but how I interact with it right now is everything. So I'm going to change my perspective about it in every way. I'm no longer going to let it drain me. I'm no longer going to let it drain my time because I have an exit plan. And you'll find that even just having an exit plan brings a sense of relief to the job you're in because you can see a way out. So commit to yourself. Please 100% commit to yourself and know that there is a way out if you want it. So for those of you who want to go deeper, please, like I said, join one of my classes or private message me if you want mentoring, because I'm only going to offer 5 spaces for mentoring for this particular process, and I'll open them in February, the beginning of February. So the registration will be open